Hello, everybody, and welcome to Say Report Jr., podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week. I'm one of your hosts, Dayle Decker.
And I'm the other host, Zack.
Zack, I have a question for you.
Yeah, God, it's like scary when someone says that and starts laughing. Yes,
It's
what's
really,
the question?
like, I'm playing it up, but it's not really a scary question. My very simple question is, do you have a favorite animal?
No. I mean, I'm a cat. I like cats and dogs. I don't have a favorite animal,
You
I don't
don't.
think.
All right, there we go. See, Devin, if you're listening, when you're listening, there you go. You're not alone.
Oh, okay.
No,
I feel like I just dragged into some sort of weird sibling fight that I
no,
missed.
it's not a fight, but we were driving. We were driving around on, I don't even know if it was Saturday. It was Sunday. I believe it was Sunday. And we're driving back from wherever we were, Connecticut. And I just, I don't remember what prompted it. Something Devin said prompted it. And I was just started talking about my favorite animals. Oh, that's why his tongue, we were eating Skittles. And his tongue was black, purple black.
Oh, God.
And so because of all the Skittles.
I was going to say, all of the colors of the rainbow coming together.
So he was like, oh, I got a giraffe tongue. And then I was like, yeah, giraffes are my favorite land animal. And I just went off about how giraffes.
Like that you were ready not only for that, but that you also had them qualified between land and sea and air, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, I was like, yeah, giraffes are definitely my favorite land animal because sharks are my favorite sea animal. And I'm like, but giraffes, really just the sharks of the land because of their adaptations and whatnot. And I just went off. And I was just like, Devin, do you have a favorite animal? And it dumbfounded him. He didn't know what was going on. I think I scared him and made him really uncomfortable with the question of do you have a favorite animal?
Here's this massive info dump, and also, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's literally how it went. So but then it made me think I don't think that the question of do you have a favorite animal is I don't think it's something that people think of normally.
I think there are certain people that do, and I think they're mostly in the field of working with animals in some way already.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure. I think my cousin Sasha, who works with animals in Texas, would definitely have an answer to that question.
Yeah, and I have a friend who we grew up all of her birthdays were trail rides, so I got to and she is trying to become a vet and all of that. She's trying to go into animal science and everything. So she definitely would have an answer, and I've had an answer just because I've always loved animals, but the idea of animals, and then it got to the point where I was I grew up watching Animal Planet. I watched cartoons and I watched Animal Planet.
Nice.
And that was basically I went to bed with Animal Planet on. I woke up. There used to be a game show that I would wake up to that was a Jeopardy Double Dare kind of thing where there were challenges and physical challenges, but it all had to do with animals. So the topic of animals I feel has been around in my life for me to have that answer. But yeah, it was just, so I was like, I'm going to ask Zack. This is going to be a great way to start the episode. And you confirmed that. It doesn't seem like people think
I like
animals.
Our furry and feathered and scaled and gilled friends. I just don't think about them very often.
Yeah,
unless they're right in front of me.
Unless you're catching them in a Pokeball. Anyways.
That too. Oh my God.
No, but it's just I've always had an answer to that question. And it's it was just I'd never expected someone not to have an answer to it. So it was really interesting. It was an interesting it's not a milestone. It was an interesting moment in my life that I wanted to share.
Well, thank you for sharing.
You're
Allow
very
me
welcome.
to use it to segue into kind of a bummer, if I can.
Yeah, we'll do a
I
roller
say that
coaster
as I'm
episode.
about
That's
to.
fine.
Yeah, I say that as I say that like I'm laughing, but only because I'm about to. I feel bad, and for some reason, my reaction to feeling bad about this is that I'm gonna laugh a little bit.
Well,
But
defense
you know who else
mechanisms.
liked animals?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that was your segue?
Well, I have a specific
Jeez.
reason for that.
Okay.
Um, by now, I mean, we're but
Two
yeah,
days?
a day and a half, 2 days
Yeah.
away from it. By now, the news has gotten out. The creator of SpongeBob passed away this week from ALS. I guess he was diagnosed like last year, at
Yeah.
the age of 57, which sucks.
Yeah.
But especially because like 2 weeks ago we went onto a SpongeBob tangent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You texted me and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but Steven Hillenburg,
Whoa.
the creator of SpongeBob, passed away.
Hmm.
But he started his life as a marine biologist, which
Oh,
is where
hey.
I was getting at.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
All right.
I've been doing a whole bunch of like reading about him the last like
Reading.
2 days. Yeah, he started as a marine biologist, went to Cal Arts actually,
Oh,
which
okay.
is really funny considering like these days really crappy animation fans like to blame Cal Arts for ruining animation. Um, but went to Cal Arts for animation, and then went on to write for Rocco's Modern Life.
Hmm.
And then after that ended, he went to Nickelodeon and pitched a show called Spongeboy Ahoy, which they were like, well, no, can't do that.
That will not
Find a,
sell.
find a different name. Um, and we got SpongeBob out of that.
Yep.
And so like the last like 2 days, I've been watching. First off, I've just been watching like the outpouring on Twitter. Like, I was very happy to find out that like it wasn't like Steven Hillenburg died, and then the next day it was like, oh, and here's how he was secretly terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, it was Steven Hillenburg passed away, and it has been like nothing but an outpouring of
Mm.
respect and love, and our hearts go out to his family,
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of the fans. But it has really made me think a lot. I mean, especially because like I said, like 2 weeks ago, we just
We just like went off.
20 minutes
Went
just
off.
fell off a cliff, right? Fell
Right
right to
into-
rock bottom.
Right to rock bottom.
And we just couldn't stop ourselves
Yeah.
from talking about how happy that show had made us over the last 20
Mhm.
years. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you go.
It was just like, it was one of those moments where, first of all, I shouldn't admit this on a podcast, but I am going to. I never really, so like watching SpongeBob as a kid, I never thought about creators or writers or anything like that, voice actors or anything like that. So I actually never knew the name of the creator, until I was like, I had to double check myself, because I was like, wait, when you first sent it, and I automatically thought Tom Kenny.
Well, that's fair, because when someone said to me, the creator, before they said the name,
Mhm.
someone said to me, the creator of SpongeBob died, and that was exactly where my brain
Yeah,
went
so
first.
it
It was like, oh my God, Tom Kenny. No, wait, he
Exactly.
didn't create the show. And then that
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what? Like, and then I had to like double check. I'm like, wait, I don't think he created SpongeBob, and I was like, found out I was wrong. But I was like, but this still hits me harder, and like, no disrespect, like it still was sad when I heard the news, but this hit me harder than Stan Lee passing. And I think it was because like I got into comic books and, comic book movies kind of later in my childhood and later in my life, really. Like, I didn't really buy comics until maybe like high school, college, But SpongeBob was always there. Like, SpongeBob was such a huge part of my childhood, to the point where like I constantly am finding old doodles that I've done that are just SpongeBob characters. My mom, I had a folder that was SpongeBob talking into the little walkie-talkie from the episode where they're trying to, I don't remember what he's called, but him and Patrick are like trying to be cops or whatever.
Oh, yes. Oh, the
And
Maniac.
The Maniac. Yes, it is the Maniac. Okay,
Oh.
thank you.
Oh, my
the
God,
Maniac.
Patrick, he's menacing.
Um,
I think I see him, SpongeBob. I think I see the
He's
Maniac.
he's under a street light. He's square. So yeah, so like I had a folder that had SpongeBob in that, to the where I traced it because I was at my mom's work, entertaining myself, because like I probably didn't have school or something that day, so I went with her to work, and I traced the outline of SpongeBob and like gave it to my mom, and she hung it in her cubicle, and it remained there, and she still has the photo, like she still has the drawing. um like that is how much SpongeBob impact, like it, I carried it around with me all the time, so it really did like hit me harder than I expected it to. And yeah, it's just, you
I
don't.
think that's totally understandable because it
Yeah.
definitely hit. Like I've been thinking about that too, and I've like even today because I've been thinking about where this is one of these things that just for whatever reason sent my brain down this kind of weird path of like I think about SpongeBob and then
Mhm.
I think about what came after that. And so like Siegen and Devin have talked about this before on the Say Report. Uh, God knows what episodes. They all blend together at this point. But they've talked a lot about the fact that like the 90s often didn't feel like it had an identity.
Yeah.
That like there was a thought going on in the 90s that just felt like a lot of spaghetti being thrown at the wall and coming back. I don't necessarily follow that same belief. I think that the 90s was much more a very cynical and angry reaction to the 80s. As much as we all love stuff from the 80s, I also think that there's a lot of, at least especially people who grew up in the 80s going into the 90s, I think saw a lot of uh, monetizing of crap that they loved, like to the point where it became all very corporate. And you know, the 80s was full of like metal became glam rock, where it was like corporations were manufacturing these things to come together. And um, like a lot of the people who were the adults in the 80s were like the hippies of the 60s who
Yeah.
had gone corporate and kind of lost their souls and all this kind of stuff. So I think the 90s was this very much reaction to that. Like early 90s grunge is so much a reaction
Yeah, totally.
to like the music industry specifically
Yeah.
becoming this like crazy corpo thing. And you know, you have shows like Daria all about all about like how high school just feels like complete crap because everybody is trying to pretend to be these people they're not, when really everybody's just this cynical this and that. And I think what happened was I was thinking about this, and I think SpongeBob might be the peak moment at the end of the 90s when someone just went, what if we just weren't angry anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What if instead of, you know, being angry about the stuff we used to love being ruined, or being cynical about the world, or looking at the world and being like, this is all terrible and anxiety inducing. What if it was just you just found what you loved and you did it and you
Mhm.
didn't give a shit about anything else?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking a lot about Hillenburg coming from writing on Rocco's Modern Life, which Rocco's Modern Life is hugely all about like the anxieties of being an adult. And like you can't even, there's like an entire episode where all he wants to do is vacuum his house and he can't get the damn vacuum to work and all of this stuff. And it's so funny to think about him going from that to SpongeBob, who found like purpose in life flipping a
Yep.
burger.
Yeah,
Like,
and he was happy, and he was
and happy about it. Like it wasn't,
happy. Yep.
yeah, like it was the thing he was good at that made him feel whole,
Mhm.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like that to me was what SpongeBob always was, kind of coming out of the 90s and into the early 2000s with that. And I think that the legacy that SpongeBob kind of brought with it is that a lot of the people making the shows now that we love, I know you just started She-Ra,
Yes, I did.
and like and I loved, and then there was, you know, there's Adventure Time and Steven Universe and Star
Yep.
and Gravity Falls, and there's these running themes in all of these very weird, very emotional shows where the theme always seems to come down to your friends and your family and optimism are going to get you through anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's because all of the people making those shows grew up
With.
watching SpongeBob.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It definitely has shaped. It's helped shape a lot of cartoons. I agree with that. Yeah. Um.
It's
Yeah.
even shaped
Because
Twitter. Like,
it
oh my
like
God,
it.
Twitter memes that are just nothing
Oh
but
yeah. I mean,
SpongeBob and stuff like.
SpongeBob. Like I probably can't go like more like a week without referencing a SpongeBob episode at least like 3 times during the week or more. Like it is so ingrained in like my everyday, there's always a reference to it. There's always a reference to it, and it's always like, and it's people who are my age and around our generation, or my generation or whatever. Our generation, we're in the same generation, right?
I don't know.
I
We're
don't.
close enough.
I don't know generations at
I think
all. I'm
technically,
just gonna be normal. I'm just gonna be
yeah, I
honest
think
with that.
technically I might be millennial and you might be Z. I don't know.
Yeah,
They all blend
I
together
don't
at some
know.
point.
I don't understand generations at all. That's another question. That's another topic for another time. But like, yeah, I feel if it's not me making a reference, it's one of my coworkers or just people I went to school with. Like it's always there. SpongeBob is like I said, has always been there, and yeah, it's crazy, and it's crazy that it's still going. Like episodes are still being made, and it's. I mean, I don't know how good those episodes are because I don't really watch them
really.
anymore.
Yeah, like I looked at like his Hillenberg's time on the show specifically, which was the first 3 seasons and then the movie. Like that was to him, that was the show. Like he had actually planned on the movie being
like
the end of the series.
Yeah.
And then Nickelodeon was like, we're not giving this up. What are you talking about? And so he, still did some producing and stuff like that and like produced the second movie, but he largely stepped away from SpongeBob after the movie. But even then, like those first 3 seasons are probably what everybody thinks about when they think about SpongeBob.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
That movie, I don't know. That movie doesn't have any right to be as good as it was.
No.
Like starting with the fact that it's got a giant David Hasselhoff robot that they had to build for that scene. But I was even like, I think about the movie, and just when I think about SpongeBob, one of the things that just pops to mind is the entire last sequence of that movie that is the like I Wanna Rock like claymation music video that they made.
Yeah, it's very rare where I will hear like I Wanna Rock and not immediately go, I'm a Goofy Goober. We're all Goofy Goobers. Like it just they are one and the same to me.
It amazes me that in a time when everybody was so cynical at the beginning of the 2000s for a lot of good reasons, and a lot of and just in general, and like as this kind of culture of like irony and you can't watch the things you like because being sincere about the things you like really means you're just trying to fake something or other. All these weird concepts in our head where we just kind of forget that it's okay to like things for a little bit. And like SpongeBob is nothing but just love the things you love.
Yeah.
Like love that old TV show with the old actors that are losing their minds.
Yeah.
Or love sitting in a freaking box and pretending for a little bit,
having some imagination. Yeah, even like you even think of the character of Squidward, who is like he is the cynical, he is the the grumpy person who is there, but even he loves playing the clarinet, he loves dance, like he loves trying to be this artistic person. Yeah, he doesn't it doesn't really go anywhere for him, but he still does it, and he doesn't give up, and he, there are those moments where he's even, like, warmed by, like, a SpongeBob's gesture or something. But it's also, like, a comment on, yeah, there's gonna be negativity, but you're going to be able to rise against it, and that negativity is also going to be able to get over it and become positive. Even for a second, So it's
So yeah, absolutely. I clearly this was something that I think affected both of us more than we thought it did.
Yeah, I mean, we took another whole 20 minutes to talk about it, so it definitely did.
SpongeBob is surprisingly up there as is going to remain probably one of the longest lasting cartoon characters of all time.
Yeah.
For a show that was, started out as SpongeBoy Ahoy.
That's great. I never knew that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. The other part of that is that he poached Tom Kenny from SNL for that job too. Tom Kenny was at a moment in his life where he was like, I'm either going to go audition for SNL or I'm gonna take this job with Nickelodeon for this voice job, and then and like I think he made the right choice because he got
Yeah.
a 20-year career out
Oh,
of it.
definitely.
Like,
It's also
uh,
my like one other SpongeBob memory is at the movies they used to have like good trivia beforehand, and like facts and stuff. And there was one that I just remember freaking out about. I don't remember what movie we saw, but before it was like a picture of SpongeBob, and I think it was information, and it was like, did you know that SpongeBob is old enough to vote? And I like freaked out in the theater because because
the
I was
passing
like,
of time, the passing of time.
because and I was like still a kid, so I was like, what? SpongeBob is old enough to like do stuff? I thought he was like my age, but I guess he has like, and I just like went up. I'm like, I guess he has a job, so that makes sense. But like,
Lives by
I was
himself with his
my
cat,
my
snail.
my
Cat
little
snail.
my little brain just exploded
I
by
think that's
knowing
exact-
that he could vote.
and I think that was like the beauty of that show, where it was like, here's a show about adult characters, but every single kid that watches them is relating to them in one way
Yeah.
or another.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh,
So
so yeah, so we just wanted to, say that we wanted again to say our hearts are out to the fans and friends and family of Steven Hillenberg.
yes.
On a more positive note, another thing that happened over the weekend was that Amanda Bynes did her first interview in like years
Yeah,
about possibly coming back into acting, but even that, she's like, when I feel like it. But it just came out of nowhere. Like,
really, yeah.
she's going to a one of the big fashion institute schools in New York. I forget the name already. I'm sure it's like super famous, and I'm gonna look silly for not remembering it. But
I
she's
don't
like
know.
she's in fashion school right now, and
wow.
like that's where her focus is, and that's where she's
That-
been for the last like 4
That
years.
somehow makes
Like-
sense. Like that makes 100% sense. That was
It's
a
very-
sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she was getting a lot into fashion and stuff like before she stopped acting
Yeah.
before. So now that she's been talked about being in recovery and getting back into school and finding herself again. And it was like this really nice, like, feeling of like, oh, thank God, our childhood stuff is coming back in positive ways
Yeah, exactly.
as well.
That's
Which
good.
is very nice for her. Yeah.
It's very exciting. Very excited.
You talk for a little bit about stuff before I try to. I have something I have to try and explain to Dayle, everybody, and everybody else. But I think
Oh, is this your
I think-
DC stuff?
yes, my DC. I fell into some DC shows again. But before that, you talk a little bit
Okay,
about what
alright.
you've been doing.
So this week has been a weird week. Just like work wise and like days off wise.
Oh yeah, there was a holiday in there somewhere.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving happened. Woohoo. Food. And being thankful for things. But so it was weird because, I was sick with bronchitis and I'm getting over that now. But so I had like a day off. I went to work, had a day off, went to work the next day, then had 2 days off, went to work for a day, and then had 2 days off, and then
God.
2 days off again, and now I'm on my weekend again. So it's been a very splotchy week of work and like days off. It's been it's been nice, but it's just been very strange. But with all those time off, I was able to see a couple movies, few movies. So I mentioned Wreck-It Ralph. Well,
You did.
Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is great. I know Devin talked about it on the Say Report, but we watched FM on Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah. What?
And
Okay. I was like listening while I was at work, so I did not catch much of that.
So-
What is FM?
So FM is there's a song by Steely Dan called FM. And Devin can explain this way better, but basically my understanding is that FM, like the song for FM, was written for the movie, or the movie was written and then they were like, hey, we need a song. I don't remember which came first, the song or the movie, but it basically is about, running a radio station and having this radio station, and the like conflict in the movie is the army, because their station, it's Q Sky. I don't remember the call sign, but it's the station is called Q Sky, I believe. And they're like the number one rated radio station. Because of that, the army's like, hey, we want to put our commercials on there. But the whole thing is that, no, we're about music. Like, we hardly have we don't have commercials. We hardly speak, and, it's about the music. It's not about that. So, like, that's where the conflict comes in.
I like that it's like, it's not just that someone wants to run a commercial. It's that the army wants to run a commercial. And so it's like both anti-capitalism and anti-army and anti...
I think it's the 60s. I could be wrong in my facts. But I think I want to say it's the 60s. So yeah, it is very, peace. Like, we need peace and like love, and that's what we promote here at this station. But it was like a really cool, strange movie to watch, because it was very vignette-y. Like, it was kind of just, there was a through story, and like I said, there's the conflict, but the way it's told is, it's really like, we're going to drop you in at this moment, and now we're going to move forward in time, and we're going to drop you in here, and like show you this moment, and give a little bit of the conflict over here. Oh, and now we're going to go to a Jimmy Buffett concert, and then maybe bring a little bit more of the conflict out. And then
it sounds very much like it was like, this is the 60s or the 70s or like whatever. And then like we've got this kind of framing device around it. But what we really wanted to do was celebrate the music of this time.
Yeah.
And then and
it really is like, you have this killer soundtrack, and it's a movie that I think not a lot of people like, but I think a lot of people should see. Mainly, like, because the soundtrack, like I said, is fantastic. The story is actually kind of cool. Like, don't, try to stay true to yourself. And, if you see yourself going down the wrong path, and if it's for the wrong reasons, like, if it's just for money and all that, you got to weigh those out. It's like, money isn't everything in most cases. So, it takes that. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting movie. That really is kind of like just a day in the life style kind of movie, which are always interesting, I believe. But it's also kind of, people say that it's the precursor to WKRP in Cincinnati.
okay.
If you know that show, but actually, the pilot of WKRP in Cincinnati was filmed before FM, and then FM came out, and then WKRP came out. So
I wonder if it was I wonder if it's like someone who had like screened WKRP in Cincinnati, saw FM, saw like a popular, was like, well, get that show greenlit now.
I think it was kind of, they're like one and the same, and they were interconnected. Hi, Ruby Cat. My cat is now sitting at my feet, everyone. Hi. Sorry. But yeah, no, that was really cool. And then, what else did I see? Oh, Smallfoot. Smallfoot is so...
I apparently got to see this movie now.
You need to see it.
I now have 3 people who have endorsed this movie at this point.
You really do. And Sejan did such a good job selling it. Like, I'm giving him all the credit. Because beforehand, I was like, Smallfoot, I'll see it eventually. And then he talked about it, and I was like, I need to see this movie. And knowing it was a musical, I think, helped. Because if I went in not knowing that, I don't know if I would have liked it as much as I did. But I have, since watching it on Monday, I have listened to the soundtrack nonstop. The songs are fantastic. The story is fantastic, and it's a story that like kids really should see, and like Sejan talked about on this week's Say Report. It's a story that, like, as kids grow up, they're going to understand more and more, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie that everyone should see. And then I also saw the Pokemon movie, Power of Us.
Oh,
which,
yeah. So you texted me. So were they just, I'm still trying to figure out what was happening when you were texting me about that. Were they playing just the soundtrack from the movie in the theater in the pitch blackness, or was the pitch blackness because the phone was in your pocket
Nope.
when you recorded it?
Nope. So this is like a PSA, kind of, as to why you don't go see, why we as the Deckers drive an hour, like a half an hour to an hour to go see Fathom event movies, because our local theater sucks. And I've said stories before about their, how it's run and everything, and I feel bad saying it sucks because I do like going there from time to time, but it just needs to get better. They just need to get better at what they do.
That sort of thing is always on management, not so much
And
the teenagers who are paid to be there, Dave.
No.
That's the most important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. And like I said, I feel bad. I should maybe redact my statement of that it sucks, but like it does. Because so I get there for the Fathom event, and it's really they're not good with the Fathom events. Like they don't. So usually at that one, they'll have like a documentary or something beforehand, and like I went to. Oh, what did we try to go see? I want to say it was The Untouchables I don't remember. But there was a documentary playing, like a short, little interview with the director or something. And in it, it spoils part of the movie. And I'm sitting there in the theater, never have seen this movie before. And I'm like, well, that was huge. And, like, I understand that they can't tailor it. Like, they can't be like, oh, everybody's seen, like, they can't tailor it for that. But if it were me, if I were running that theater or, like, running the show, if you have a choice in the matter, because, again, they might not, but if you have a choice in the matter, you play that after the movie. Because then people have the choice to leave if they want. If they don't want to sit there for another 20 minutes watching the show, watching the video, the movie, the short. And it doesn't get spoiled for people who have never seen the movie before. So that happened. So we were trying to stay away. But on Monday with Pokemon, I walk in. I am the only one in the theater. And I'm sitting there alone, and the screen is just black. All right? There's audio, but the screen is just completely black, and I'm like, whatever. I don't need the pre-show. It sucks that I can't be watching it because it sounds like there's some fun stuff going on. And it's
how early were you to this showing?
I
just
was
out of curiosity?
probably like a half an hour early, which is when the pre-show would be playing.
Right, because like you said, there's audio, so obviously something's playing.
Yeah, so I was probably there a half an hour early. And it's really difficult to play Who's That Pokemon with a black screen in front of you.
Is there a Pokemon that's just a big giant square?
So that was happening, and it was just it was funny because I had to like make up visuals for myself to like these weird Pokemon songs and commercials. There was like a commercial for Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. I think there was a commercial for Black and White. It sounded like, or at least maybe the like show. I don't know. It was like all commercials for Pokemon products. But so anyway, so I'm sitting there, more people come in, and I think there was like maybe 10 people in the theater. And the movie starts, and there's still no screen. Still black. We are all sitting in darkness now. Still no screen, still no picture. And the movie starts. It sounds like the movie starts. And everybody in there, oh, what the hell? Like, I paid $13.50 for this. What the fuck is this shit? Like, and like 2 or 3 people left the theater to go talk to someone. I'm like, well, I'm just going to sit here because they're doing my job for me. I'm just going to sit here and wait. So eventually the picture comes back on, and it's like in the middle of action. And I'm like, all right, I wonder if they're going to start it over. And it didn't seem like they were going to. So I was like, whatever. I missed the first, like, 3 minutes. I'm sure I can find it somewhere. And
this
then...
is a Pixar film. I didn't miss someone die in that 3 minutes, I think.
Exactly. And then sound gets cut, and the screen goes black. And I was like, oh, these people are going to flip out. And everybody in the theater started to flip out. And then it, like, because they restarted it. So they started back, like, maybe 10 minutes into the pre-show, or, like, maybe 5 minutes into the pre-show, and then it started. And it's like, guys, have someone come in and give a speech and be like, sorry about that, folks. We're going to restart it for you. Just give us a second. We're working on it right now. You know, like, that is so easy to just send someone in. And it was just, I'm just, again, sitting there in the darkness of the theater, like, these people are so upset. And, like, I'm enjoying my time here. Because...
a little bit of schadenfreude, just watching this whole thing fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. And so it starts, and it wasn't even the movie that had started. It was like a Pokemon Generation short.
Of course, because they of course had to stick a short at the beginning of a Pokemon movie, like they do on all of them.
Oh, not just 1, 3.
Wait, what?
So yep. So it was a Pokemon Generation short about, I want to say, Lance. He has a cape and red hair and a Dragonite.
Oh. Yes,
Is it Lance?
I know that because I just beat him in the Elite Four.
Yes, I know.
Yes, Lance.
So it's Lance, like, running through a facility, like, breaking into a Team Rocket facility, and then you have the character of, I guess, Red would be the character, also sneaking in. You never see his face. Like, it was a really cool short. But so that happens. It was great. I was like, this is weird. I thought I was seeing another movie. Oh, well. And then, like, darkness, and then the next short starts, Pokemon Generations. And I was like, God. I wonder if these people are just sizzling in their seats. But, like, it was my first time ever, like, seeing a Pokemon movie in theater, because I don't think I saw the first one in the theater. So I was just enjoying every minute of it, because I was like, this is cool, because I've never seen this stuff, ever. So the second short was about the 3 legendary, like, dog Pokemon. Like, they're pretty much dogs. Suicune, Entei, and Ryoku. I can never pronounce the last one's name. Riku?
Sure.
I want to say it's the yellow one. But it's the, it's the 3 the 3 legendary, how, like, they came to be. And, like, really sad, like, how they lost all faith in humanity because, they were 3 nameless Pokemon that died in a fire. And,
oh my God, the darkness that is, like, is in the undercurrent of the Pokemon universe.
Yeah, and they all died in a fire, and Ho-Oh came and, like, sprinkled its magic onto them, created 3 legendaries, and the townspeople revolted, retaliated against them because they were so scared of what they were and the power that they had. So, like, it's all about Suicune, like, losing respect and, like, losing trust in all humans. And it was, like, really, like, sad, and I was like, what is happening? Like, I'm not prepared to be crying right now. The best part of that short is there is a moment where it's raining and everybody is sad because these 3 Pokemon had just died in a fire. And there's a fucking Rattata just sitting on the ground with its tongue out, like licking up water from the sky. And I was like, freaking read the room, Rattata. Read the room. Like, people are crying. Death just occurred. It's like, what is this? It tastes great on my rat tongue. Like, no. It was
everywhere. They're everywhere.
And I just started laughing uncontrollably at that. I was like, I feel bad that I'm laughing, but like clearly what I should be laughing at. And then like a short documentary happened about Pokemon and about Detective Pikachu, and I'm like, I just want to watch the movie now. But yeah, so it was just, that's why you don't go see Fathom events at this theater, at the Warwick Theater.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. The movie was fantastic, and I cried my eyes out.
This is the sequel to the one where Pikachu talked, right?
I don't think so. No.
It's not a sequel to the Gotta Catch 'Em All or whatever?
I
the
Choose
last
You?
One that was,
No.
Or I Choose You?
It's really just like a standalone film. Like, it's
cool.
just Ash continuing his thing. He goes to Fula City for the Wind Festival. And it's really, spoilers for Pokemon the movie, Power of Us. It's really about Zerora, the like new electric kind of like tiger looking thing. Legendary mythical Pokemon. And like I saw Smallfoot and then I saw the Pokemon movie on the same day.
Oh my god.
And
what a
like,
wild ride you had.
It was a really interesting double feature because they had a lot of similar themes about like being lied to and growing up with a belief and then finding out that, oh, none of this is true. Like, we need now to like fix something. I hope I didn't give anything too much away. But yeah, it was like a really cool double feature that like both had me in tears. And it's just like, we all need to be nicer to each other. We all just need to be nicer to each other. And that is my PSA for this week. Also, Creed 2,
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
I mean, I've been seeing Creed. I don't know why I said that like I was surprised, aside from the fact that Creed gets so much love. I was like, really? I mean, I just expected it to not be, just out of...
Oh my god, no, yeah, I was falling asleep during it. So,
well, you know.
Yeah.
It's the Rocky franchise. It's gonna happen sometime. As long as there wasn't a robot, we're fine.
Yeah, and I don't... Was there
It's a Rocky 4 reference.
I know. I don't
okay,
think...
good.
I'm trying to remember
like,
I'm trying to remember if there was a robot now.
I have a friend who really wanted that robot from Rocky 4 to come back. I told him, you know that the way it comes back is it's like an umbrella stand in the corner. They're never gonna put the actual robot back in the movie.
Nice. Yeah, that was basically my week and playing Pokemon. But that's it. That's my week.
How's Pokemon going? I know that you were so excited when Reagan had a bucket on her head.
Reagan is the best. I love him so much.
That whole part, the whole idea of the partner Pokemon, it's just like, oh, by the way, if you need a break, take 5 minutes, just go into this screen where you're face to face with an adorable Pokemon that does like the most ridiculous things.
And so I love Reagan so much. He is like the powerhouse of my team. And just so adorable. Like, I love that he mimics you. Well, you as my rival.
I went through a run where Pick was pouty for like a good 3 days while I was playing the game. Every time I went in the damn menu, it's just like, oh, Pick is pouting about this, or oh, she looks uncertain about that. And I was like, come on, I keep feeding you and petting you. What more do you want?
Yeah, I haven't experienced that yet. I've there was one time where Reagan was like exasperated by something, but I'm pretty sure it was because of our interaction with Team Rocket. He was
Yeah.
like, "These fucks, like, what? Who are they? Let's go kill Giovanni." I'm like, Reagan, calm down there, buddy. We're not killing anybody. We're just trying to save Cubone. Like, you gotta bring it down a notch there, bud.
Did you do that, by the way? Did you get to the top of the tower?
Yes.
Yet?
Yeah.
Oh my God! So that was one of the screenshots I got. And I didn't want to share it until you did it. That whole scene,
With
that whole
Cubone?
cutscene with Marowak and Cubone.
I took
was so-
videos. 'Cause I'm like,
I took pics.
it just, I was crying on the. Okay, so I was playing the game on the couch, and we were about to like watch something, and I am just in tears on the couch. And Devin was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Cupid," and he's like, and then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then because I wanted to make sure the videos came out correctly, I watched it again and cried again. And I'm like, I have to not watch this anymore because
what I love about that is that, and I don't think it's in the original Pokemon Yellow, is that Cubone is then on your rival's team.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've fought them since or anything, but he goes with him like it's one of his Pokemon.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Because he's all like, I need to I can't let this Cubone be alone. Like, I love it now, and it is mine, and I am going to take care of it. Yeah, it makes me actually really happy, because if that Cubone was just like out in the world somewhere alone, I would feel really unsettled. Not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, you've got this whole, for anybody who's never played Pokemon before, and this all sounds ridiculous, Pokemon Tower is a section in the game which is essentially Pokemon Graveyard. Like, you go into a town, and there is a tower with memorials to dead Pokemon, which I don't think they were really thinking about 20 years ago. To like give kids this game and be like, think about all of these things as dead now.
Well, there's like at least one in every game.
Yeah, and there's this whole storyline of the little creature called Cubone who's like running around the tower because their mother recently died, killed by the bad guys.
Killed by Team Rocket.
Killed by Team Rocket, and the spirit is haunting the tower now. So you go through this whole thing to like basically free the spirit of its mother, and it's the most depressing thing to think about. And in the original version of the game, it is never talked about after you do it.
Nope.
Like, it is just a thing to get through in the game.
Yeah.
So that you can get an item to move forward.
Yep.
And so I love that when they rewrote this game, they did so much. They did all of this great. I mean, again, to continue this whole thing about like positive, happy storytelling, they injected so much more like positivity and optimism into this version of the game. Like by like making your rival just a friend that you are friends with now, and like Oak's grandson still shows up now and then, but it's not like a jerk. And like they rewrote,
it's crazy.
And they rewrote all of these sections that are like, yeah, no, here's like a happy ending to this story that is completely dropped in the original version of this game. So
yeah, no, I finished Silphco, and I have to just get my 5th badge. I'm working to get towards my 5th badge. So that's where I am in that game.
I'm not gonna brag about where I am.
You are a champion. Congratulations.
Today, and I beat the Elite Four.
Wait, did you do it on your lunch break?
I did. I did in the middle of the day today.
Wow. That nice.
This is the first time. So in 20 years of playing this game series, I have now finished 2 Pokemon games, both of them in the last like 6 months, because I like loaded up and finished Sun earlier this year, and then this one.
See,
so
I finished 3. And I haven't been playing as long.
So yeah, that was nice. That was a nice feeling. Good feeling.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my finishing team was Pikachu, and then Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, Aerodactyl, and Eradicate that I never used. At some point I was like, oh, I need something that's got like a dark move. So I put Eradicate that was 10 levels too low on my team, thinking somehow that was going to be useful. Put him in for like one fight. He got knocked out in one hit. And I was like, well, you're useless. And just kept going.
Be gone.
So there's just a random level 41 Eradicate on my winning team.
Oh my god. Yeah, my current team right now is Arbok, Kadabra, Alolan Ninetales, because
Nice.
I evolved my Vulpix. Reagan, my Eevee, obviously. Oh, what's the last two? What are the Butterfree, and Venusaur.
Nice.
That is my team, and I got the Lapras from the guy in Silphco because he's like, you look like trusting. Here's a Lapras.
Hello, small child that keeps beating up these gangsters. Here, have a Lapras.
And I'm like, Lapras is like one of my unsung like favorite Pokemon, and I don't know if I want to put it on my team because I don't know what to get rid of.
Yeah, at some point you'll want to, just because you are coming up like
To
in another
being
like 2 or
able to
3
surf.
gyms. You've got like a fire gym you're gonna hit, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
Venusaur is useless.
But here's the thing. Oh god, I just hit the mic. Here's the thing with like Reagan. My Eevee can like learn all kinds of moves.
That's true.
So right now he has a move called Bubble Bounce that is a super like powerful water move that also heals him. So I don't really need
why?
a water
so, like, why
type.
would I? Yeah.
I don't really need a water type. And it sucks. Because I really want a Lapras on my team. Plus, I have a Lowland Vulpix, who is ice. I mean, fire is going to be ice. But still. Yeah.
So the other thing I did this week
Yes.
is
Yeah.
I fell down a dark hole. Not a dark hole. I fell down a very weird hole.
You
Very
need to
weird,
explain this to me.
strange, dumb, goofy hole. So, as I mentioned before, I've been watching Titans on DC Universe, which is like a very good show. I don't know when it became a very good show, but it's a very. Have I talked about this?
Titans?
Or was I just thinking about when I was talking with Sejin? Yeah,
No,
did I mention
so
it last
so
week?
you mentioned it last week, and you said it like started off rocky, kind of like
Oh,
how
right.
all the DC shows started, and that it has gradually gotten better. I
Yes,
have a
and-
question though.
Yes.
So it's on DC Universe. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is that like an
It is.
app?
That is DC's new streaming service. Sejin has talked about this before, but this is
It
DC's
is
new
just
streaming
a
service.
stream. Okay, yeah.
So,
'cause I've
but what
heard-
it is, and it is an app, but what it has is a bunch of it's DC shows, DC movies, and a giant library of DC comics.
Okay, I did not put 2 and 2 together
Yeah.
after
Yeah, so
hearing you and Sejin talk about it.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same service. So, but right now, like their show offering and movie offering is not great,
Yeah.
and I suspect a big part of that is because a lot of their stuff, like none of the Arrowverse stuff, is on there, and I imagine that's because it's currently like between CW and Netflix and Hulu and all of this stuff. It's probably wrapped up in so many different streaming
And
like
Prime.
and Prime. Yeah, so between all of its different like contracts that are out right now, like I suspect that stuff will move over there eventually, but like it's just like there's stuff that has to be worked out, I think. But they're also working on a whole bunch of original shows. It's also got all that like DC animated stuff that's come out recently, like
Oh, okay.
Death of Superman and Red Sun and Doom and Batman versus Robin, I think was one of them. But like all of those animated ones that have come out over the last few years that they pretty much have direct control over are all kind of slowly eking out on there too. But the big thing is that they are like working on their own original shows, and so Titans is the first of those that premiered with the service.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, very like dark and gritty at the beginning, and like everything with Robin is very dark and gritty. It's just like around him, everybody kind of seems to be knocking him over the head, like "Stop brooding, you baby!" Like, so it like does this mix of doing like all the dark and gritty stuff, but it actually balances it out with other, better storytelling. So I was like looking at the other shows that are on there, and like It's got the Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman with like Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher.
Oh my
So
god.
I've been planning on getting into that. I started to watch the pilot. I didn't realize the pilot is like 90 minutes long because it
Oh,
was done as like a like two-parter or a made-for-TV movie or something. So
jeez.
I haven't watched the whole thing, but it does include a scene in which Lex Luthor is just sitting there staring at the fire, and a snake comes in for no reason, and he turns around and he stares at it and like stares it down, and it just leaves the room, and it's never explained what the hell that scene is about.
What?
His chauffeur in the show is a very stereotypical Middle Eastern man with like a turban, like his Indian man with a turban that has a snake. And for some reason, the snake like comes in the room and Lex Luthor like stares it down and it leaves. And I think they were trying
So
to be
Lex
like
Luthor is a parcel tongue?
either that or they were just trying to be like, look how badass Lex Luthor is. He can stare down a snake. Like I think that's all they were trying to do with that scene.
Jesus.
But that's like a perfect idea of like this is what DC TV is sometimes in like the weirdest ways, right? Like even the Arrowverse shows get funky at times because they just like the better, especially in the better ones, like Flash and Supergirl get silly
Oh
at,
yeah.
at many times. But there was a moment where like DC was peak like 90s and early 2000s, and I think the perfect vision of that is Birds of Prey. So Birds of Prey, in the comics, Birds of Prey which is the movie that they're working on now is going to be based on the comics as well. Birds of Prey is Huntress, Batgirl, and um, oh God,
Catwoman.
Black Canary.
Oh,
Uh,
well, the one that you sent me is it's
yes,
Catwoman.
I'll explain to you in a second what that is. But that's because of who Huntress is basically Batman and Catwoman's daughter in
Yeah.
that show, which is depending on which version, like the original actual Birds of Prey was not that Huntress. It was a different Huntress. It's like the one that showed up in Arrow. This is all part of the confusion to all of this.
I
That
feel like
version,
there
I
are
think
a
of
lot of Birds of Prey.
there are, I think, like there are different runs of it, but I think the original like actual comic version is just Batgirl, Black Canary, and Huntress,
Uh-huh.
and the in the comics it is the one that's like family to like the mob in Gotham or something. Like
Okay.
that's like her backstory. Who shows up in Arrow in like the first or second season, if anybody's ever watched that. Um, but in this version of Birds of Prey, where do I start? Let's see. Hmm.
Is this the 2000 version?
So this is 2002.
Okay.
This
I just
is
before you get into this, I just want you to know Devin is going to like shudder during this. Um considering the fact that he dropped a superhero class because the teacher was going to have them watch Birds of Prey
oh
from
man.
2002.
So Birds of Prey 2002, its last one season, 13 episodes.
Oh
It
my
is a
god.
marginal spin-off of Smallville. And by marginal, what I mean is Smallville started like the year or two before and was very popular, and so DC thought that they could eke out another show.
Nice.
They could not. Um,
Nice.
Birds of Prey 2002, first off, takes place in New Gotham. Not Gotham, New
Yeah.
Gotham.
Yeah.
No explanation
I
for
had
why
a
it's New
question
Gotham.
about that.
There's no explanation for why it's New Gotham. They just kind of want to say it takes place sometime
Wait, there's
in.
an old Gotham?
See, that's just it.
Sorry.
No, there isn't.
No, that's
No,
a
there.
That's a Drake and Josh joke.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I'm really sorry about that.
I
I
mean,
just couldn't let it not happen.
like, it's like in this version of Gotham, what happened was Batman existed. His fight with the his ongoing lifelong fight with the Joker came to a head at some point. I forget what they call it. There was like a night of Joker's last stand or something, which they like literally refer to it like a bunch of times like that. So apparently that's the official name of this terrible night, which seems to be Joker was in a building that was on fire and Batman and Joker fought a bunch. I don't know what exactly makes it Joker's last stand, but there's so many things they're trying to mix together here. So sometime after this last stand with Joker, basically the events of, oh God, when he shoots Batgirl and puts her in the wheelchair. God, What the Killing Joke?
Killing Joke.
Thank,
Yeah, okay.
thank you, universe, for finally letting my brain work. Basically, after this last stand with the Joker, the events of the Killing Joke happen, where he kills, where he shoots Barbara and puts her in a wheelchair. He also kills Catwoman, and so Catwoman has a daughter who is apparently who they've said Batman did not know this, but it's his daughter. So like Batman and Catwoman have a kid, and then after this whole last stand with Joker, his Catwoman gets killed and Barbara gets shot and Batman disappears. This goes off to be a big baby somewhere and disappears and leaves Gotham. And now we're suddenly in New Gotham. They never say that like, oh, after this last stand, things were so bad, we rechristened the city, or oh, then there was like this whole other event and now we have New Gotham. None of that's ever explained. It's just suddenly it's just New Gotham now.
Nice.
And so Birds of Prey is about, and so in Huntress is, you know, Helena Kyle, the daughter of Catwoman and Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Barbara, who's in her wheelchair, and she's
Oracle.
technically Oracle at this point, except she never calls herself that. She's just Barbara. And then she has a computer system named Delphi, as in the Oracle of Delphi. But again, they refuse to say the word Oracle for some reason.
Except in that intro.
And then, oh, he does call her Oracle in that terrible,
Yeah.
terrible intro, doesn't he? Oh, we'll get to that.
It
And
felt
then,
like it felt like a weird Power Rangers intro. Like there's an
oh God.
well, cause Mystic Force opens kind of in the same like feeling of that opening.
Well, it's
felt
funny because a
really
lot of the
weird.
like, what's really weird is that a lot of the DC shows now start off that same way. What happens at the opening of this show, everybody, is that Alfred,
It's a narrator.
some version of Alfred, is doing a really terribly done voiceover to explain the series, and then they'll have their cold opening, and then there's a really bad opening credit sequence, which is even worse on the streaming app, because on the streaming app they had to change the opening song. So
really?
in the one that I found online, it's like this like heavy rock guitar, bad like early 2000s like heavy rock music, right? And on the streaming app, it's like a Michelle Branch song. It's like acoustic guitar and violin, like over shots of like people beating each other up and throwing batarangs.
What? Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh my
the end of the first episode. The end of the first episode is a Michelle Branch song. It's like this really bad CGI shot of them sitting on the clock tower. That's like their secret lair, talking, and like a Michelle Branch song in the background. Oh my god. And then there's also Black Canary in this, Dinah Lance, who's like the third Black Canary that I can think of, is like this 16-year-old teen runaway who also happens to have psychic powers, which is not a thing in any of the comics or TV shows before this. Like, they just were like, we need her to have a power that's more than just beating people up, because that's Helena's thing. So, Black Canary is psychic in this one. She doesn't do the screaming canary cry that is like the whole point of Black Canary. She has psychic powers instead.
She never screams.
She
Like,
hasn't
she
in the
never
first-
does a
she hasn't in
wail.
the- She hasn't in the episodes I watched. Her whole like background is that she had psychic powers and went into foster care, and her foster family like abused her because they thought that she was like possessed by the devil or something. Like they said that didn't. They thought her psychic powers made her a weirdo, and so she became a runaway and like ran off to New Gotham, where she met, Oracle and Huntress, because she was having dreams about them and all of this stuff. But like she has yet to have any sort of actual Black Canary powers in this show.
Huh.
The other thing that's going on is that Helena Huntress is theoretically half metahuman.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. They're just like, oh,
because-
by the way, she's not just the daughter of Batman and Catwoman. She's also got kind of half metahuman cat powers that don't mean.
Yeah.
So far, that has meant nothing other than she fights good, and when she's about to fight, her eyes look like a cat's eye for a second.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is.
Okay.
That's it. That's all it's
Okay.
surface. But why?
I was so
What is that?
confused.
Why, show? Why is that a thing? Why is that important for her to be part of her character? Because it doesn't do anything for her.
Like, because so you send me the intro, and I watch it, and I'm like, Why is she half cat?
Here's
Catwoman isn't actually a cat,
right.
guys.
Yeah,
Like,
like
there's
here's
no
the thing.
way that goes down hereditary. Like, it's not
Here,
hereditary.
here's the thing. So the introduction that you watched gives you as much information as me watching the first 2 episodes of this series has given me as to what any of that means.
Oh my god. Yeah, because they call
Oh,
Black Canary. Now that I remember it, they call Black Canary a metahuman as well.
yes,
And
just
it's
with
like,
psychic powers, which is just like their
which
catch-all term for a person with powers.
which now I remember. I was really confused about that too, because I'm like, I thought Black Canary just screamed at people.
Right, and there are
I
versions
thought
in which she is a metahuman, but her metahuman power is that she screams
she's like
at
she
people.
has a banshee cry.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like that's what her power is.
What?
So like, what get
They
show?
just need
What
to
do you?
spruce it up a bit.
So then here's the other thing that's going on with this too, with the visuals of this show is so they when the first episode opens, they're trying to do the background exposition stuff, and they show Batman and Catwoman, and they are wearing the Tim Burton costumes, like straight up. He's got
Nice.
the big yellow symbol on his chest, and she's got the stitched up mask that Michelle Pfeiffer wore. Like straight up, they are just using the aesthetics of Tim Burton's Batman for these shows, completely obviously ignoring anything Joel Schumacher ever brought to the table, but like the Tim Burton stuff. And then for like the 2 seconds like where they show really blurry shots of the Joker, they used Mark Hamill's voice from the animated series to like superimpose over the episode so that like to be like they literally had to credit Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker for his
Wow.
one line that they probably just ripped from an episode of the animated series.
Wow. Wow.
And so they were like clearly trying to be like, oh, this show is some sort of weird timeline sequel to the Tim Burton movies and the animated series, which were only marginally connected to begin with. But then we're going to add this show on here, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Huh.
Oh God, it's so I don't know what the show wants to be. And then like Helena doesn't have has a secret identity, but doesn't wear a mask. So she's like interacting with the cops regularly in the first 2 episodes, and then just goes to her job as a bartender, looking exactly the same. Looking exactly the same. There is no reason anyone will ever not know that she is like nothing.
Okay.
Oh
Well,
my
she doesn't have
God.
cat eyes when she's bartending, presumably, unless like
mean, she
some
presumably-
rowdy customer gets up on the bar and she's like, "God damn it, my cat abilities!"
I mean, if you
I'm
believe,
gonna be-
if you believe
gonna
what's
be
been shown in the
found
show, if you believe what's shown in the show, she only has cat eyes for like 1 second at a time because it always just like transforms and then transforms right back and then she fights. So it's not like she's like turning into a cat when she does these things.
What the hell?
It's like it is like she might as well just be saying like go cat powers. Oh my God, it's just makes no sense. And on top of all of this, Harley Quinn's the bad guy in this show. So like Harley Quinn apparently did not exist in whatever past this show has, which means it's definitely not a sequel to the animated series like they were trying to say. So by having Mark Hamill involved in any way, but just Harley Quinn just apparently never existed before and is now the bad guy in this series as Helena's therapist, who's clearly going to go crazy at some point.
Yeah. That's
Because she's
crazy.
Harley Quinn. It's what she does. It's like
Yeah, because so I always thought that Harley Quinn was a bird of prey because of the new movie that's coming out with Margot Robbie.
she is usually the main foil to the birds of prey.
Okay.
Like they've worked together before, and then a lot of times it's like Harley Quinn's doing something. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy have decided to go off and do something, and the birds of prey are going to come in so that they can have like their whole like a whole all-female thing
Yeah.
going on. Yeah. So Harley Quinn is usually the bad guy
Yeah,
to Birds of
'cause
Prey.
I'm
but it's just
excited.
like-
I'm excited for the new Birds of Prey movie because I loved Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
well,
But I
one of the
thought
other
that she was. I thought she was gonna be like the quote unquote good guy of the movie.
There's also a possibility that they write the story where they have to team up with Harley Quinn and then do something. We don't know enough about the story. Like there are storylines in the comic that do that, so that's still a possibility.
Interesting.
But the other thing is that one of the shows coming out for DC Universe is a Harley Quinn animated series produced by Margot Robbie, but actually she's going to be voiced by Kaylee Cuoco, of all people.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the trailer came out and it takes a minute to get used to the voice because she's like not doing like a Harley Quinn impression. She's clearly bringing her own voice to it, which is great, but also really hard to just like grasp because the show is very much using the like Bruce Timm animated series like models for the characters. Like so
that's actually very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that was I couldn't like I'm gonna keep watching the show, by the way. Like I've been live.
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you?
The first 2 episodes. I have 11 more to go. I will watch every one of them, but I just could not believe it. And then I was like, I haven't watched Gotham in a while, so I bounce over to Gotham because they're in their last season now, which I completely forgot. And I would like to get caught up with it before it ends, and I'm like just watching an episode, and speaking of like Harley Quinn's and the Joker, Lori Petty shows up in an episode. Tank Girl shows up and just is in a clown costume for no reason. For no reason.
What?
She's just like Bruce Wayne is like hunting down the guy that killed his parents, and she's just one of the people that he got sent to be like, she knows some information. So she just turns around and it's, awesome. By the way, here's Tank Girl dressed like Harley Quinn, basically.
Awesome. Fantastic.
And then she gets to have a great scene with Gordon where she basically like has like a Tank Girl fuck you interview with him. He's just like, tell me now. And she's like, why? I got nothing. I don't need to tell you anything. Oh, man. So,
do you have water? I'll exchange water for information. Oh my god.
So my weird DC TV universe will continue to go. I'll go down that rabbit hole and I'll let you know how it goes.
I'm looking forward to hear how it goes.
And of course in the second episode it's like, bad guys puddle of water. And so we have him attack someone in a pool, which of course means we have to stick Huntress and Hot Cop in a sauna together, where we can get our 2 hot main characters half naked and arguing about their philosophies. Because,
oh my god!
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And I realized 2002 is also when Enterprise is on. Star Trek Enterprise is on, and one of the things Star Trek Enterprise every episode. Who, for people who don't know, that's like the prequel series that was like the first Starfleet Enterprise ship to go out. So they don't have a transporter, but they do have decontamination, which meant that every episode there's like at least every episode there's a 10-minute scene where there's a bunch of the main characters in their underwear sitting in a sauna, which was their decontamination. It's a weird thing we did in the early 2000s for our sci-fi characters was we made sure we could get them half naked and stuck in a room somewhere for a while.
Oh my god. Wow. Well.
That's all I got this week.
I think that's the best place to stop. I think that is
thinking about Scott Bakula and decontamination. That's the best place to stop.
Yep. Oh god. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, you can follow us on Twitter at sayreportjr. You can also find us on YouTube. Also, you just type in Say Report Jr. and you get some of our episodes. You can also follow each of one of us on Twitter. I am at Dale's Brain.
And I am at Zerwisky.
And if I thought I had something else. I don't. Let's all go get ice cream. Yeah.
Goofy Goobers. Let's all go get Goofy Goobers ice cream. Take it away, Liz.
There we go.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dayle Decker and Zack Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.